The real fear after 60 isn't wrinkles. It's weakness, falls, loss of independence, and it starts years before you notice. These 7 quiet secrets protect your body before damage shows up. Some people age loudly. You can see it in the tension they carry, in the way every movement looks negotiated, as if the body has become something to battle. Every year feels heavier. Every change feels like a loss that must be fought. But there is another kind of aging. It is quieter, calmer, almost invisible. These are the people who, after 60, don't look like they are trying to stay young, yet their balance improves, their strength steadies, and their thinking becomes clearer instead of foggier. They don't announce it. They don't chase it. They simply grow younger in silence. That contrast matters because most of us were taught the same dangerous idea, that aging well requires more effort, more discipline, more pressure, and more products. But the body does not heal under pressure. In fact, the faster we try to push it forward, the faster it begins to break down. Aging accelerates when the body feels chased, not supported. Here is a truth almost nobody talks about. Aging does not usually arrive as a sudden collapse. It begins quietly, almost politely. A little less strength when you stand up, a little less confidence in your balance, a little more hesitation before movement, a little more mental fatigue by the afternoon. This is how rapid aging really starts, long before any diagnosis ever appears. I saw this pattern again and again over decades of practice, and it perfectly reflects the philosophy of Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, one of the world's most respected longevity doctors. Hinohara lived past 100, not because he fought aging, but because he refused to rush the body. He once said something that stayed with me for years. A long life is not pulled forward. It unfolds when protected. Think about that for a moment. Not forced, not hacked, not dominated, protected. Because when the body feels safe, it repairs itself. When it feels pressured, it begins to conserve, shrink, and break down. We are taught to fear aging as loss. But what if aging itself is not the enemy? What if the real problem is how we treat the body as the years pass? Most people don't age faster because they are old. They age faster because they are constantly pushing a system that is asking for steadiness, not speed. This idea is strongly supported by the work of Dan Buettner, who studied the longest-lived populations on Earth. These people do not chase youth. They do not obsess over fitness or anti-aging tricks. Instead, they build quiet, invisible habits that remove stress from the body day after day. There is no drama in how they live, no urgency, no constant self-correction. And yet their bodies function younger for longer. Their strength, clarity, and balance are preserved not through effort, but through alignment with the body's natural pace. That is what this video is really about. Not anti-aging, not reversing time, and certainly not fighting your body. This is about understanding the silent biological signals that tell the body whether to decline faster or slower, and learning how to turn those signals in your favor. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share 7 little-known truths about aging. They are simple, overlooked, and often dismissed because they don't sound impressive, but they work because they respect how the human body was designed to age. We'll move through 4 systems that quietly control how old your body feels: effort, the nervous system, muscle, and purpose, and finally, acceptance. That last one is the most underestimated of all, and the one that changes everything. If you are over 60, I want you to listen to this without fear. Listen with curiosity and patience, because youth does not return through force. It returns silently when the body is finally allowed to breathe. Now let's begin. There is a quiet trap many people fall into after 60, and it sounds responsible on the surface. The belief is simple. If aging is happening, then more effort must be the solution. More intensity, more discipline, more pushing. But the body at this stage of life interprets effort very differently than it did at 40. After 60, the biology changes its priorities. Excessive effort raises cortisol, the stress hormone that tells the body danger is near. When cortisol stays elevated, muscle tissue is broken down for fuel, repair cycles are shortened, and recovery becomes incomplete. The body is no longer building for the future, it is bracing for survival. This is why so many people feel like they are doing everything right and still getting weaker. The system is not failing from laziness, it is reacting to pressure. When effort becomes sporadic and intense, the body treats it like a threat instead of a signal to adapt. A useful way to think about this is the light bulb analogy. A light bulb does not burn out because it was turned on every day. It burns out because of sudden surges. Aging accelerates in the same way when the body feels chased instead of supported, rushed instead of reassured. This is where the first two secrets quietly appear. Secret number 7 is less intensity, more consistency. Bodies past 60 respond best to signals that arrive regularly and predictably. Small repeated actions tell the nervous system that life is stable. Stability is what allows repair to resume. Secret number 6 follows naturally. Motivation is not something to be forced. When systems require willpower to sustain, the body remains on edge. Ease, not intensity, is what allows longevity signals to stay active. This is why people who do a little every day tend to age better than those who push hard from time to time. The body trusts repetition. It distrusts extremes. Quiet consistency feels safe. Safety is what allows tissue to rebuild. In practical terms, this shows up as daily signals that the body can repeat without negotiation. Movements that do not require psyching oneself up. Rhythms that fit naturally into the day instead of interrupting it. Activities that feel sustainable rather than heroic. At the same time, anything that relies on force or constant self-control gradually exhausts the system. When the body anticipates strain, it holds back, it tightens, it conserves. Over time, that conservation looks like aging. What looks like doing less from the outside is often the exact condition the body needs to do more on the inside. Repair improves, inflammation settles, muscles stop shrinking, energy stops leaking away. This is the quiet paradox of aging well. Effort feels productive, but support is what actually restores function. When the body no longer feels rushed, it stops acting old. And this understanding sets the stage for something even more important, because once effort quiets down, another system finally gets a chance to reset. The system that truly controls how fast the body ages. If these quiet truths are helping you see aging differently, staying here makes sense. This channel is about calm strength, clarity, and aging without pressure. Subscribe so these reminders stay with you. Most people assume aging begins in the muscles, the joints, or the organs. But those are downstream effects. Long before the body weakens, something else speeds up, the nervous system. And when it does, everything else follows. The nervous system decides how fast the body lives. It controls inflammation, sleep depth, immune repair, digestion, and muscle recovery. When it stays in a constant state of alert, the body behaves as if danger is always nearby. That state slowly erodes strength and clarity without making much noise. Chronic fight or flight becomes more common after 60, not because life is more dangerous, but because the nervous system becomes more sensitive. Stress that once passed through now lingers. Signals that should shut off stay on. The body spends more time braced than relaxed. Biologically, this has consequences. Inflammation rises quietly. Muscle tissue becomes harder to maintain. Sleep becomes lighter and less restorative. Immune function weakens. None of this feels dramatic at first, but together they create the feeling that aging is accelerating. A helpful way to understand this is to imagine the nervous system as the metronome of aging. Set it fast, and every system wears out sooner. Slow it down, and repair suddenly has time to happen. The body does not need to be pushed to heal. It needs permission to slow. This is where the next two secrets emerge. Secret number 5 is that calm does not just feel good. Calm sends youth signals backward through the system. When the nervous system senses steadiness, hormones rebalance, inflammation settles, and repair becomes efficient again. Secret number 4 is predictability. Regularity tells the brain that the environment is safe. When days follow a recognizable rhythm, the nervous system stops scanning for threats. Energy that was being wasted on vigilance returns to maintenance and healing. This is why two bodies of the same age can age so differently. One remains tense, vigilant, and depleted. The other repairs better every night. Not because it is stronger, but because it is calmer. The difference is not genetics. It is signal quality. In everyday life, this shows up as consistent rhythms rather than dramatic interventions. The body responds to repetition far more than novelty. When signals arrive at the same time each day, the nervous system learns to anticipate rest instead of preparing for disruption. Breathing patterns also play a quiet role here. Longer, slower exhales gently tell the nervous system that the emergency has passed. Over time, this changes baseline tone. The body spends more hours in repair mode instead of defense. Evenings matter as well. As stimulation fades, the nervous system recognizes that the day is complete. Sleep deepens. Hormones stabilize. Muscles and brain tissue finally receive uninterrupted time to restore themselves. None of this looks impressive from the outside. There is no strain to admire, no intensity to measure. Yet this is where aging begins to slow in a meaningful way. When the nervous system stops racing ahead, the rest of the body no longer feels the need to rush toward decline. And once the nervous system settles, something else quietly reawakens. A signal even older than fitness or discipline. The signal that tells the body it is still needed. Muscle loss after 60 is often treated as a purely physical problem, something mechanical that happens because the body is aging. Motivation is discussed separately, as if it belongs to psychology rather than biology. But inside the body, these two are inseparable. Purpose and muscle speak the same biological language. When the brain senses usefulness, movement increases without conscious effort. Hormones that preserve muscle remain active. Neural pathways stay engaged. Balance improves because the body expects to be needed. Strength is not maintained by exercise alone. It is preserved by relevance. This is why people can lose muscle even while remaining active, and why others maintain surprising strength with very little formal training. The difference is not how much they move, it is why they move. Muscles stay young when they feel needed, not when they are merely exercised. There is a deep biological reason for this. The human body evolved to conserve energy when it senses irrelevance. When movement has no clear purpose, the brain slowly withdraws investment. Muscle tissue becomes optional. Reaction time slows. Grip weakens. The body prepares to do less. But when usefulness is present, the opposite happens. Movement frequency increases naturally. Posture stabilizes. Hormonal signals that protect muscle and bone remain active. The body holds on to its strength because it believes that strength still matters. This is where the next two secrets reveal themselves. Secret number 3 is that usefulness preserves strength. Bodies that are regularly called upon for meaningful action resist decline far better than bodies that move only for maintenance. Strength becomes something the body chooses to keep. Secret number 2 follows closely. Movement driven by meaning creates far more durable signals than movement driven by fitness alone. Purposeful motion tells the nervous system that coordination, balance, and power are still required. This pattern can be seen again and again. People who remain useful keep their legs longer. Their grip stays firm. Their balance remains reliable, not because they train harder, but because their bodies expect to be called into action. In daily life, this shows up as movement that accomplishes something tangible: carrying, lifting, walking, standing, and reaching with intent. These actions send clearer signals than repetitive routines ever could. The body responds by staying engaged. Over time, this engagement protects far more than muscle. It preserves confidence, reaction speed, and the subtle coordination that prevents falls. The body becomes less hesitant because it still trusts itself to perform. This is one of the quietest secrets of aging well. When the body knows it still serves a purpose, it refuses to shrink itself prematurely. Strength remains not as a performance, but as a natural state, and yet even purpose has its limits. There is one final layer beneath all of this, deeper than muscle, deeper than the nervous system. When this final signal changes, the entire aging process slows at once. There is one signal that overrides all others in the aging body, and it is rarely discussed because it does not fit the modern narrative of control and improvement. It is not strength. It is not discipline. It is not even health behavior. It is the body's sense of safety. Most people unconsciously view aging as loss. Loss of ability, loss of identity, loss of control. Even when nothing is technically wrong, this mindset places the body under constant evaluation. And the body feels that judgment. Biologically, it responds the same way it would to any prolonged threat. When aging is framed as something to resist, stress hormones remain elevated. Sleep becomes lighter. Immune repair becomes inconsistent. Inflammation quietly increases. The body stops investing fully in maintenance because it feels under attack. Acceptance, in contrast, produces a measurable biological shift. Stress hormones lower, the nervous system stabilizes, sleep deepens, repair systems regain rhythm. The body does not interpret acceptance as giving up, it interprets it as safety. This is why so many people experience a strange improvement when they stop fighting their age. Strength stabilizes, calm returns, mental clarity improves. The body is no longer burning energy on internal conflict. A helpful way to understand this is through a simple analogy. Healing does not happen in an environment of judgment. It happens in an environment of permission. The body heals when it feels safe, not when it feels monitored and corrected. This is the final secret, and the quietest of all. Secret number 1 is that aging well is cooperation, not resistance. The body already knows how to maintain itself. What it needs is space to do so without pressure. When the internal dialogue shifts away from anti-aging and towards supporting function, the nervous system relaxes. The body stops bracing. Signals of decline slow because the body no longer feels rushed toward an end. This shift changes how the body experiences each day. Movements become smoother. Fatigue becomes less dramatic. Recovery becomes more reliable. None of this happens loudly. There is no moment of victory, just a gradual return of steadiness. The most striking thing about this stage is how subtle it feels. There is no fight to win, no milestone to announce, just the quiet sense that the body is no longer slipping away as quickly as it once seemed. When pressure disappears, repair quietly takes its place. And for many people, this is the moment aging truly begins to slow, not because time has changed, but because the relationship with the body finally has. This is where youth returns, not as appearance but as function. Calm, stability, clarity, and it happens without force, without effort, and without noise. Aging well after 60 is not about effort or control. It is about how the body is treated over time. When pressure is removed, the body stops bracing and begins to repair. That quiet principle guided Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, who believed the body stays young when it is handled gently, not forced forward. The same pattern appears in the longest-lived cultures studied by Dan Buettner. Their lives are steady, predictable, and low in stress. No urgency, no obsession. Youth after 60 does not arrive dramatically. It shows up as steadier balance, calmer sleep, clearer thinking. Not because time changed, but because the body finally felt safe enough to function as it was designed to. If this quiet approach to aging resonates with you, stay connected here. Subscribe to keep receiving calm, practical insights that help your body age with steadiness, clarity, and dignity, without pressure or noise.